Here we go. Bienvenidos a una emisión más de Stand Up Marketing, este podcast que tiene la misión de hacer que ustedes logren más ventas, más resultados derivados de su marketing digital. Soy José Cabal y el día de hoy vamos a tener una conversación especial en inglés porque nos acompaña nada más nada menos que Marcus Sheridan, quien es director de Riverside Pulse y además tiene es socio de Impact, una de las agencias una de las agencias más fuertes en el tema de inbound marketing a nivel internacional. Así es que este podcast va a ser totalmente en inglés. Espero que afinen su pollito chicken y vamos a iniciar. Marcus, thanks so much for having this conversation with me today.
José, un placer, amigo.
Very good, thank you.
Yo soy chileno de corazón, but you know I've got to do this. I've got to do this in English. But yeah, yo viví en Chile por 2 años, así que me encantan las empanadas chilenas.
Great. Okay, so Marcus, let's start talking about what is happening in the world with all this technology and people trying to get on board with digital marketing and inbound marketing. And some of the things that people, I believe that most of the time the companies, the problem they have is that they don't understand how to create content that really is of the interest of the buyer persona they're aiming to. So what can you tell us about this?
You know, I think the big problem that businesses have is they dramatically overcomplicate what is content marketing or inbound or digital. Because if you're really obsessed with the way your buyers think, and plus, if you ever just really self-reflect and look at the way you shop and you buy, the process of digital marketing becomes much, much easier, right? And there's certain patterns that you see with buyers in every industry, business to business, business to consumer. And we know what those patterns are, especially when it comes to content. So, you know, in my book, They Ask You Answer, I talk a lot about this subject of the big 5, right? Any great content strategy should, at least 99% of the time, start with the big 5. And these are the 5 subjects that buyers care most about, you and me, all of us. This is the things that we research the most when we're getting ready to make a major or important, not even major, but important buying decision. Again, service or product, B2B, B2C. Yet these are the 5 subjects that so many businesses don't want to talk about. And this is a problem. So these 5 subjects are as follows. Number 1, as buyers, we want to research cost, price, rates, etc. We want to understand that. Number 2, we want to know what are the negatives, the issues, or the problems with that particular product, that service, that company. And it's really interesting, Jose. Once we start to get very serious about buying something, we tend to research what's wrong with it.
Yeah.
You don't research what's wrong with, like in my case, you mentioned in the introduction that I own a swimming pool company, right?
Yep.
So for years, people used to ask me, Marcus, what are the problems with a fiberglass swimming pool? All right. And nobody had ever addressed that question online. But yet I had been answering that question for years in person. Why had I not addressed that on my website? So problems with fiberglass pools. By the way, that article has made us millions in sales. So that's number 2, problems. Number 3, as buyers, we're obsessed with comparisons. We love to compare stuff online. Think about how many times have you been online and you have compared one thing versus another thing. It's prolific. Number 4, we're obsessed with reviews. What is everybody saying about it? What are the pros and the cons that they're saying? And number 5, we love to research the best, lo mejor, right? We just love to do that. And so those are the 5: cost, problems, comparisons, reviews, and best. Now, here's the thing. If you want a great content strategy, you take the major products or services that you sell, and you say, what are the major questions that we get under each one of these 5 things? Because if you really think about it, you're gonna land on dozens, possibly hundreds of questions, and make that really the essence, the foundation of your content strategy. You want content that moves the sales needle? Produce content on the big 5. You want to help your sales team? produce content on the big 5. You want to do better in terms of SEO, search engine optimization? Produce content on the big 5. You want to stand apart from your competitors? Produce content on the big 5.
And the thing is that one of the things that people, or I believe that most companies are worried about is, what should I write about? What is the content going to be about? I don't know how to get so much ideas. And I believe I have seen hundreds of marketing gurus telling them like the ultimate year pre-planification template for all your social network and so on. And the thing is that the moment that companies start understanding that the best thing to do is answer these big 5 questions, they're going to have enough content. And another thing is not about the amount of content that you make, but the quality of the content, how much this content is being in the interest of your buyer persona.
Well, so let me stop you there. There's a little bit of both, okay?
Okay.
So the data has shown us that it's not an either or conversation. It is a matter of, you want to make sure that it's the content the buyer wants to understand, research, and consume. Yet you do need to produce a certain amount of it if you really want to start to see like dramatic hockey stick growth. So let me give you an example I'm talking about. We have consistently found that if a company wants to dominate their space online, in other words, be that go-to source of information, similar to what we became with my swimming pool company, which is the most trafficked swimming pool website in the world. And many of the companies that have now embraced They Ask You Answer have achieved similar results, just astounding results. But there is a qualitative and quantitative measure here that you want to at least strive to meet. And that is this. When it comes to the quantity, you want to try to produce 3 new pieces of content a week for the first year. That's roughly 150 pieces of content the first year. You're like, why are you just giving a number, Marcus? Because the data is there. And so let me give you an example. Somebody could produce a great piece of content, but if they only do it once a month, sure, it's going to help. Sure, it may get some results, but you're not going to dominate your industry. If you want to dominate your industry, you go for 3 a week. Now, again, I don't care what you're selling. There's way more than 150 questions that you've been asked over the years about that product or service that you sell. And that's really the essence of They Ask You Answer. Now, those core questions tend to fall under the big 5. But there are so many buyer-based questions. All you have to do is just sit in a sales meeting, listen to the questions they're asking. You know, I, for years, would sit in a sales meeting with my pool company, and then, of course, with other businesses. And I can't help but to always think when I hear a question, why do they not know that answer to that question? Is it because I haven't educated them yet? Have I not taught it to them yet? And that's always why I want to make sure that they have an opportunity before we actually meet face-to-face, before we're having that sales conversation, to learn it and to hear it specifically from me, from us, which, by the way, I think we have to remind everyone here that the studies have shown that the average buyer of today is 70 to 80% through the buying cycle, through that decision process, before they engage you, before they fill out that form on your website, before they walk into your location, before they call your office, whatever that thing is. They are almost home, and they are vetting you to death. And so if we don't feed them on the front end and give them what they want and give them the information that they seek, they will go somewhere else and they will find it from somewhere else. That's why we've got to talk about the things that other organizations, other companies in our industry are not talking about. And those are those 5 subjects. More than any other, those are those 5 things.